Alright, so I'm adding a code for authentication here. Like, username is the text form that you name from the sign-in page. You name and password, right? From here, I want to validate against the one that we create account and we put in new user. That's from the create account page. So if it equals, like username, I just do ignore case, lowercase, uppercase is fine, but password has to be exact. If both of them are equals, then we try to switch to home page. Right, that's the code for home XML. Else actually I want to update the sign in here with the label and set the label to red. Maybe at the bottom right here. Set the color to red. And just say invalid. User name or password. That's what we normally see, right? And we just said it we're supposed to be false, and when we need it, we just make it to be true, right? So turn it off. Now this is where we're gonna make it to be true. So we have to refer to that. This is a controller. Give the ID to that label, fxid, and say invalid. Okay. And then fxml invalid is going to link right here, right? And this is a label invalid. And import it. Already. Now I don't think we're using this one in this code. It's commenting out for now. Then we start to go to else invalid dot set visible to true. When it's invalid, just show up. Right. Let's run that. Tennis and password. It should say password is test. Okay, I type my username and password. So let's say it's runtime exception here. Line 36. New pointer exception, or what type of exception? Runtime. Invocation target exception. So something is not right in this line. So let's check what's. So the problem is here, right? That's why I said I just try to simplify. You're supposed to create a list and add the user into the list. And then you have to run through the list to see if the user is existing in the list. Like now, if I try to do this, account is not even created. This new user is pretty much just null. Because I create when I do new user here. That is a problem right there. So let's run again. Like I said, this program just tries to simplify. Better one, you should fix that too. Let's see, is there exception or no? Let's rerun the program. Create account. Is there exception? Display create account view. So let's go through that and start with the exception right around here. Line 56. So this is not correct because this password is from sign in page, but this is create account page. So I have to verify. I'm talking about this field password equals to confirm password. So I name it C password and C confirm password. So this should be C confirm password instead of password, because at that point password is null, right? It's from sign page. I happen to. That's why there's another reason why you want to separate the controller to its own view. Otherwise, you will be confusing like this. You're sharing between many views. This is just to simplify a little bit. First, now let's create an account. Alright, so line 56, C confirm password. Alright, that is also the problem. I hit create account. It's going to execute everything here, including this. And when I try to get text, I hit create account, I got the errors because this logic should be inside this create account, not the hyperlink create account. So that's why it's still invalid. That's why I throw the errors. So I have to move this logic. Go back to my create account and make sure I create that's the button. It seems like it's having to call the same. That's the reason why view should be separated with the controller. I use one controller for two views. That's so confusing here, right? Now, let's separate the view from now then. Let's separate controllers. So that's why I start to have controller new Java class, and this is going to be your create account controller. Sorry, I want to name controller every time, then I know this is for controller. That's just a naming, good practice on naming convention. Then when you read, you know this is the controller. Alright, so then my fxml, this one should no longer link to that controller, but link to create account controller instead. Okay, I should move all the logic for create account to that controller instead of relying on one controller, which is main controller right there. It doesn't want to move. Alright, so I'm going to start to move all the controller stuff on fxml. You name. Then it will not create that issue for us anymore. Confusing. C you name and C. Alright, so like I said, we separate, right? Its own view, its own controller. If you name actually, I'm confusing already. It's actually for the sign-in. Sign should have uname, password, invalid. That's correct. Now, create account, show that. This is create account for hyperlink. Show that view. This is a sign in. Alright. And the logic for this should go into this create account. And now if you want to name the same, that's fine now, because scope, right? This is for this class and that's for the another class. Now user just import form. Let me move user to models. We should start to do the separate, right? Move them factors, right? Model should just person user. This actually should go there too, but we're going to handle that later. Let's talk about user. I don't know what's this user. I'm talking about that user from model. Let's import, right? Now, now we can do create account by verifying that and have the user. So that's why when you want to use the list, you should have another one from model here. Otherwise, this user will not link to when you do sign in controller, this controller, or this controller. It's two separate user, right? Two separate instances. That's why we need a list that you can store, right? Create class. Like I said, I could use binary search table list, I could use array list, linked list, right? Or map, depending on what's the best structure, stack, queue. I'm going to make a list, name user list, class. So for now, you are very basic in programming with this structure. You don't really know much, you only know array. You're going to put array list. Okay. So we're going to create array list. And this is the user type, right? Generates, right? A user list equals to new user list. No, array list. I just say it's myself, okay? Alright, so just get and setters. You can get the list here. So generate get and setters. Alright. I just want to move it down here. And if you do toString, you pretty much just print out everything in the list, right? Alright, so now when you create a user, we just add to that list. And if it's the same list, we can make it all statics. Then we don't have to instantiate every time. Right? This should be private and access to that. If it's static, no longer use this. And technically, you may not really need the setters. So I comment it out for now, because you only want to get a list. Now, we can get a list from here, right? What's the list name? User list dot get user list dot add the user, which is new user. Once you create a user, you have it in a list. And we can authenticate now, which instead of relying on that,